Hello and welcome to the Customer Canvas Overview webinar. My name's Rory. Today we're going to be going through online ordering on the left-hand side navigation and variable templates new, the Customer Canvas integration. This is the page that you'll see. And we want to do a breakdown of all of the different areas that are available within this screen. We're also going to jump into the design editor. We're not going to complete a card or a file in any of the editors. There's a separate webinar specifically designed to go through each one of those different editor types and give use cases for different features that are available. But we want to give you an overall lay of the land so that you can see the different options that are available and where the menus are and what they actually do. So with that, let's start out. Again, online ordering, and you're going to variable templates new. And from this screen, you're going to land on the home screen. And the home screen is going to give you a quick snapshot of your utilized storage, number of products that have been generated, and up to 5 of the most recent projects that have been generated. So 5 of the variable templates that have been created by end users or by your internal team as you're testing and putting orders through the system using variable templates. Next in this section, also, I should mention, you can edit, download results, restart and delete from the three-dot menu, and you can reorganize if you'd like. But where all of the actual projects, this is the recent projects, where the projects reside is in the projects screen, which is the next tab over. So this is a list of all unique templates generated online, allowing you to make adjustments and download a revised file. So if a file gets deleted for an order item, you can find it here. It's going to give you that option to do this here, download results. And you can organize your projects from here, from these menus as well. Next up is, and it's abbreviated a little bit, product specifications. This is a list of all the template products. So the process for this, and we're going to go through this more in depth, but I'll give you an overview of kind of the hierarchy of how a variable template is created. First, you have to start with a design, and then you're attaching that design to a product specification. And this is a very simplified way of doing it without data schema or anything, but a design attached to a product specification, and then within Docket Manager, a product is assigned to a product specification in the variable template dropdown. So we'll go through that whole process. If you want to join us on that call or view that recording once it's up, we're having that call next week. We'll go through that whole process, but you would need to have your design ready, and you would hit create new here to create a new product specification. Once that's set, the name would go here, a description, and then the personalization workflow is actually the editor that's available. And there's blank, data-driven, template-based, and variable data print product editor. These options are completely gone through on the next webinar that we have available. And again, once that piece is created, that's connected on the MIS side at the product level. And we're going to go through that. So we'll guide you through that process. Again, this is just the overview, but these are the options that we have available. The B2B option utilizes the data-driven editor. The B2C business card example utilizes the template-based print product editor. And then we have a variable data option where the end user or an internal user, if they wanted to log into the web to print, could upload a CSV file to populate additional records. So multiple records, I guess I should say, at one time via a spreadsheet. So those pieces could be spec'd out to add many names and information to multiple business cards at a time instead of having to type everyone in. That's where this comes in handy. And you may have seen the blank editor as well. That's kind of a blank canvas for someone to create something if they wanted to do that within Customer Canvas if you attach that to a product. The next section is assets, and there's a couple tabs that are available throughout this page. And the first is designs. Within designs, you have the option here to import a InDesign file. It needs to be set up as an IDML file type and or a Photoshop file, a PSD file type. And you can also start from scratch by hitting new and building the artwork right within Customer Canvas if you like. But the nice thing here is if you have a customer file already created in InDesign, that can be imported in, and all of the fields can then just be worked with within Customer Canvas instead of setting up the card completely within a new piece of software and setting fonts, setting sizes, setting leading, whatever it might be. Um, so that is definitely going to be a shortcut for you if you're new to this and not aware of that. Very helpful. So these are all of the designs that are currently in the system, and you have the option to organize them via folders and or just keep them all, in the one file folder as well. That's possible. Mockups are currently being stored under assets. So images, mockups folder, and they're providing the customers with a realistic mockup preview for the product they're customizing. So if you want to show what it's going to look like on a carton or something like that, that's taken care of within images, files, mockups. So that we're repurposing this level for here. So you don't have to worry too much about this, which brings us right into images, where you can store and organize mockups, images, photos, logos, and backgrounds that can be utilized by customers when personalizing templates. The supported file types for this are AI, bitmap, GIF, JPEG, PDF, PNG, PSD, SVG, and TIFF files. So any of those options are available. This is all in the documentation as well if you need a reference point for that. If you don't want to keep hitting rewind to hear me say all those, you can go to training, the training page, check out the web to print training section, and the documentation is available as an article in an article format. So we can bring in new images, we can create folders, and by creating folders, what you could do, hit folder, and this could be just an example customer. We could link, if we wanted them to be able to choose an image, say on a design, if this was a variable image and we wanted them to choose from the assets that are available, a certain set number of files, we could direct them just to this folder so they don't see customer B's options. They also have the option to upload their own image. So they could upload their own image. They could choose from a specific image assets folder, or they could have the option import file, and we're all set there. The next option is the fonts section. You're able to import TrueType or OpenType fonts for use, and that is done right here. Again, you can create folders and you can import those different options. Next is color profiles. The system comes structured with a number of these pieces already in place. So you're not building this from the ground up. We give you what you need to get started, but if you need to make adjustments to anything at any time or add additional pieces, you definitely can. You can import source and destination ICC color profiles to make sure that the colors are being correctly converted between RGB and CMYK. And then there is an option for documents, but this is not being used in our integration, so you can just disregard this piece. That is not necessary. As we move along on the top section, so again, we're in assets and we went through these different options. We're going to move into data schema. And data schema are part of the B2B setup when we're doing and it might be, it could be used in other areas too, but it's definitely part of brand consistency. Um, Having phone numbers all formatted in a certain format, no matter how they're being typed into a business card. So all of the company cards are matching brand specifications That's an option. The ability to choose from a drop down of different locations. But we'll get into this when we look at the B2B editor. But really, what you're doing, we can just take a peek at what we have here. You're giving this data schema a name, and then you're creating different fields that match the field name in the design. So, full name in the design, this field needs to match the data schema field so that they tie together. And there's different options available here. If we hit add, you can see what those different field type names are. There's an image option where they can upload an image. And like I said, it can direct to a folder, or they can upload their own, or give them the option for both. If you choose number, that can be formatted. String is just a string of characters, and variant is a drop down, like I had mentioned. So if we just go back one, which I think we can do right here, full name, edit, you can see this is marked as string, and the prompt we had in enter your first and last name is in mark it as required or not, and you're all set to go. Just a view of that. If we look at number, I'm sorry, variant is next. Yeah, variant is next in line. So the address we have set up here is a variant, and we have a London office and a Toronto office that'll show up in a drop down. You can add multiple if you'd like, but that's a use case for variant. And number would be phone number. Again, if we want to have that in a certain format, so they're just typing in a number and it's going to format in this direction. You can select a format or you can create your own based on the format syntax that you're looking. The directions are right here as far as how that would be organized or entered in so that it's displayed the correct way, I should say. And then we also have an image option. If you go into edit on this one, this is where the display name is going to say photo. And then what are we allowing for images? Is it any, which would be a folder and upload, or just a folder, or just an upload? And in this case, we just have it set to upload. So a couple different options there for data schema. Again, we'll go through that whole process of creating a data schema, tying that to a design and assigning it to a design, and then assigning the design to a product specification, and then taking that product specification and attaching it to a product. That's the different levels that are necessary when using a data schema. When you're not using a data schema, you can skip the data schema portion, take the design, create a product specification that is assigned to the design, and then go to the product and assign the product specification there. Again, we'll go through all of those pieces with a real use case in the online ordering variable template editor webinar. And then in settings, you have some options just for your defaults. Configure your system defaults, color profiles, fonts, measurement units, and size presets. You can link to external image sources like Deposit Photos to provide users the option to utilize an image repository. Again, you're just making your adjustments here, utilizing the three-dot menu for edit and delete. You can add options if you like, measurement units, import, and image sources if necessary. Again, all of this is set up with defaults. These are the defaults that come with the system. So the CMYK profile set, the RGB profile, the default font, and the default measurement unit are all set up for you. Don't think you have to go in and make all of these adjustments as you go, but it's good to be aware of where these settings are if in case you need to make any adjustments. All right, so that is the online ordering customer canvas window within variable templates new. Again, you're going to land on home and then you have these options. Those submenus are going to appear when you get to something such as assets. Just below has a second section. The next piece we want to look at when we're talking about customer canvas is at the design level. So if you went to assets and you clicked on, I'll close this. If you double click on one of these options, one of these designs, you can see the setup of this. And we just want to give you an overview of what's available here. We won't go through use case with every single piece, like every font or every, every style option, but we'll give you just some general information so that you know what is available and where it is, just to make sure that there's nothing hidden in the background. So the name of the design can be adjusted here if you like. It can also be adjusted at this level. If you right click, you can rename. That'll do the same thing. There's a selection tool. So it works much like, other design applications that are available. Text tool to add another level of text. Now, the nice thing is when you're importing from InDesign and you have all of those fields already specced out, they're going to come right in automatically, and we're not going to have to use, a text tool to create a new field and then stylize it. So if you have something existing, it's definitely going to save you a lot of time, but it is available if you need to create a field that doesn't exist. You could also duplicate fields that do exist to hold on to that formatting, which is a nice shortcut as well. There's an image tool, this rectangle tool. If you pull this down, you can also use an ellipse. And there is a barcode and a QR code option as well that could be added to your design. Going across the top, you have an undo and a redo. So same options, Command Z and then redo are, so those options are available. You can hit test or save here to see what this is going to look like to the client. There's a settings gear available for the editor if you want to make any adjustments to what you're viewing, and snap lines. If you want to enable snap to objects, this is where that's going to take place. And then lists as well, if necessary. Again, these are just if needed. It's not to be set from the beginning. It's already set up for you to work, and you can make adjustments to it if you need to. This drop down will allow you to zoom in, zoom out, zoom to fit. You can hit preview, show rulers, grids, margins, print areas, regions, snap, snap to, different options available there. If we're looking at this artboard, this area with the red solid line in between that and this red dash line is the bleed area. We can see that from the zeros on the rulers. So this is your bleed area. This is your live area, the red dotted line. And then there's a margin set within here in the black and white dotted line. So that's the um, layout for the artboard. In the page options, so one sec, let me get to that section. Page. Design tab. So page options, we're on the front page right now, so we're seeing the name. If you want to toggle between pages, there's a backer on here too that's just blank, but it does have not blank, but it has a color to it. You can add pages if you'd like, but if we're looking at the page editor, this is specific to this page, the size, orientation, width, height, rotation option. You can set your bleeds, slug. You can create or hide areas if you'd like. And then you could also add a background if you'd like from here using a color or an image, and then setting opacity. Once we click on an element, two new options come up. So before we had page because we didn't have an object selected. So if we select an object, we now have design and behavior. So with this, we have your traditional justification options, X and Y axis, width and height, sorry, and rotation. You can also lock these to constrain proportions, just like any other design program you may be using. Into the text section, if the text is set to point, It will not be constrained to the bounds of a text box, so it'll kind of just be free form. So right now it's set to area, so it's working within this designated area, this text box. But if we were to change it to point, it could become as long or as short as it needed to be. This is specifically important when we're working with layout groups so that information is, if you had a prefix on this, like a P colon space 555, and that P colon space would only show up if there was a phone number, and it would push out. We want to maintain spacing. So we can do that with groups, and we'll go through that when we're building within the editor. So with layout groups, we definitely want to have it on point. Otherwise, we can fill an area, and that area can be specific to the size of uh, what is necessary. Not sure if we can get that back. I think once we switch it, yeah, there we go. Area. Again, that's the opposite of what we just talked about. When set to an area text field, the text box will not expand or contract based on the text, and the text will wrap when reaching the right margin of the box. So we're creating a box that it's constraining if we exceed the width and moving to another line. The arch type tool allows you to arch text and set the degree of the bend. So if you need to create arch text, that's available within the system as well. Fonts are going to work just how normal setup for fonts. The font style, the size, the spacing between, and the justification as well for height. If you have a selection, you can hit edit text and you can adjust the text or use HTML coding to format the styling. So within here, we could change the text. We could also do that from this, just double clicking on the text box if we wanted to. But here is the text that's located within there. Justification for text. Unordered, ordered indents are available, bold, different type options, color, character scale, baseline, blending options, everything that you may need if it's not done outside of the system. If you need to make adjustments, that can be done there, as well as effects, frame, shadow, stroke, and then overprint settings as well for fill, text, and stroke. So that's the design side of the options when a selection is made. And then there's also behaviors available within here, within this view, I should say. So if we keep that selection and we hit behavior, we get another set of options. And the first one is placeholder text. You can turn on the placeholder toggle to adjust placeholder text for this. So if this is just, if we're putting a placeholder in here, this is what will display. And we can lock elements so that they can't be moved. So right now the user could move this item, wherever they want. So we can lock this down if we like. Visibility, is it showing or is it hidden? Hide in editor or hide in the print file is available. Show an item list, remove on layout changes, different options that may come into play. The remove on layout change. This allows the user to remove the layer if allow users changing a design layout is turned on in the template-based editor template settings. So again, we have documentation behind this. If you run into a scenario where something is necessary specifically, I'd refer back to that or submit a support ticket. Let us know what the exact need is from your end user, and we can help you get there utilizing the options that are available. But there is a full breakdown of these items in our knowledge base and how they may work in different situations. So in the data section, if there's a data spreadsheet upload available, we could turn this on. We can set max characters and max lines, max line characters. And then there's also a violation section, which is used to control where the user can move objects. So if you need it to not exceed the bleed line, that is possible as well. and allow in place text, safety lines, region, and bleed area to set your violation. So, Marion, do you have any additional information on this? Is this violation, we want to see an error if it exceeds one of these different options? So if they move an element into the bleed area with this turned on, it would give us a error message. Am I correct in saying that? Am I reading that the right way?
I believe the bleed area, if it's turned on, a user may drag and drop an element into the bleed area. If it is turned off, I believe the user won't be able to
Oh,
drag and drop past the bleed line.
that makes more sense. I apologize. Yeah, as I was saying that, I was like, I just want to make sure we have this right. So, okay, gotcha. Yeah, excellent. So just creating some constraints for what they're able to do if the element is unlocked. Do we want to see a violation error in the system or not? If we were to, like I had said earlier, if we were to test this, and I didn't save that change, but we'll see if this comes up. This will bring up a window that would be from the user's point of view, and we'll see if this comes up with that change that we just made. Wasn't saved, so we might not. Yeah, let me save this and we'll see if that comes up. There we go. Just had to do that. So this is going to give a view of what the customer would see, and I can toggle back and forth from front to back. And this is utilizing the template-based editor where they're able to kind of move things around freeform. This is not the B2B editor where they're entering information in. If we looked at that one, backer example, data-driven. Oh, that is the data-driven. Sorry. Yeah, so that's giving them the giving you an option of what the client's going to see. And then also the save button is available at the top there as well. So again, if you're looking for additional info on any of this, check the knowledge base. We do have article documentation available. We're going to link out to that in the training screen as well. And if you're looking for information on a specific area or a specific use case where the client's asking you to do something that you're not sure about or what functionality exactly to utilize to get you to that end, feel free to enter a support ticket at any time and let us know what you're looking for and how we can best help you to get the answers that you need, and we'll be in touch with you there. So all of these calls are being recorded. As we always let you know, your name in the top right-hand corner, recordings. There's also an upcoming webinar calendar available, so feel free to join any of the upcoming calls. We'd be more than happy to have you here and share these recordings with your team. There's a number of different options here, and we're going to be adding to this list at the conclusion of this call. This recording will be available as well. Excellent. So thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate it, and we will see you and hear from you hopefully very soon.